Okay, so that's AT&T issues. With Suddenlink, I talked with them. They we approved their permits. Suddenlink is ready to start laying now. So what we're doing now is we're trying to coordinate, because after having nothing for all this time, now we have both of them trying to lay cable inside the easements. So Suddenlink we're going to send over to probably Melody and Cary and lay those lines while AT&T does Stowe. And so Suddenlink has to bore under the road. Suddenlink is going to bore the whole thing. So we need to make sure that they're squared up with the roads, because they're going to have to go into the street. So I've turned over the AT&T and Suddenlink over to Brittany at Kimley Horn, so she's coordinating all of that. So we've rolled that into their current construction management phase. I told her that's now part of your scope, is to handle the utility reinstalls. So that's going. So Suddenlink is going to be 1 gig high speed. They're laying the high speed stuff. So that's what we're going to get. And
so everybody's going to get rid of their 18.
So I'm excited to, obviously I'm jazzed for that.
They'll go all the way to your house.
They go all the way to my house. In fact, it may even start at my house on this run. We'll see. But so that's really good news on that. Other than that, the roads we're just chugging right along. The berm is a mountain. It's probably 25 feet tall. It's huge down at the sewer plant, and we're working that out now because they've got a bust in their calculations.
Mm-hmm.
They told us they would barely touch the front of it. They would mainly be on the side. And we just finished the first street. And they're already on the side. They're 25 feet tall on the front. So I don't know what they're going to do with 7 more streets to go. And that wasn't even the longest street. So I'm meeting with them next week. We'll figure out a plan. At a minimum, we're going to wrap the entire sewer plant around. But I think it's cool. I think it's great. I mean, you can't see now the sewer plant from the street. It is
Lakewood Village Mountain.
That's good. It's the mayor's
Lakewood
hill.
Village with Lakeview.
Hey, that's it. We're gonna put a flag on top of the thing, and we'll we'll look at it. So, other than that, the roads they're doing great. I mean, these guys are professionals. They're real pros. They know what they're doing.
Who put the at High Ridge? Who leveled that out and put all the base there? Kind of filled that in. Because that was really nice, whatever happened there.
We did that, and then we told them that they have to do that from now on.
Okay.
So the plan of attack, I believe, is that they may do it sooner, but I told them every Friday before they close up, I want the roads to be in good shape for the weekends. So they're supposed to go down Melody and Cary and take out the camel humps they're creating.
So I was going to ask you about Melody, because then going up that hill and down that hill now, and then you've got now that big pothole that's forming.
All that.
You got people that are stopping and trying to cross each other, and you got the big tracks.
It's terrible.
I didn't know if they were going to do the same thing, because what they did on High Ridge was a lot.
This Friday, they told me they're going to go and kind of dig those up. They're going to try and dig up those spotty areas on Melody and make them better. But in the contract, they're required to maintain all the roads they're traversing.
Okay.
So they're required to fix it.
It's amazing what that equipment does. If anybody drove up there, like the ends are divvying out now, and you see mountains going up kind of the side.
Oh, the ridges and
kind
everything?
of cool to see.
Yeah.
You don't realize how much those things weigh and push that stuff out until you see it. Yeah.
So it is. They'll take care of it. So now they're aware of it. I've made them aware of it, and they agreed. So every Friday they'll fix it, and. The road-based stuff works good. We just need to water it. We need to, do a little bit to, otherwise it's going to get pulverized and turned into dust. But it's better. And I was by there last night, and the guy came screaming down there, probably doing 40 miles an hour, and made a cloud.
Yeah.
And he just floored it through that thing. And the guy behind me actually stopped. He just stopped and waited, because it was an absolute cloud in front of him. But, hey, we'll take it. But that's it with the roads. Any other questions on the roads? Next up is wood crust. We started looking at that. Unfortunately, AT&T we believe is on poles. So the relocate shouldn't be a big issue over on Woodcrest. So that's the plan. Right.
So will they start pulling up Woodcrest, or no, they don't start doing that until Stowe is finished? Are they going to finish complete before they move on, or no, they're going to start mixing and matching?
Their plan is to totally finish a street, have it graded, sodded, totally be done before they do the next one.
Oh,
But having said that, my guess is the same guys that are doing the sodding and grading on the side of the road are not the guys doing the milling, so there'll be a slight. I would expect them to jump ahead.
yeah.
But it won't be like when they did Jago, they did one side and then did the next street one side and the next, it was like a ribbon.
Yeah.
The next street one. So they didn't double back for 6 months. They would double back for several months later, double back and do the other side.
No longer than it really was, but
Yeah.
always did.
So, all right. Any other questions? No? Well, if you want to go to the Monday meetings, it's every other Monday at 3 o'clock. If you'd like to stand out there in the parking lot.
Did you say 3?
3 o'clock, yes.
Did they change it from 10?
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock now.
Okay.
We want to make sure it's the hottest part of the day,
Yeah,
because you're
makes
standing
sense.
out there in that parking lot. Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah. Hey, look, that's why you're at the next one. I'm out of town. By the way, I've got to tell you that, Daryl.
Thanks for the answer.
No, it's the mayor pro tem again. Hey, yeah, I didn't want to say it beforehand. Okay, all right, next up we have discussion of the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget. All right. Now, so let me kind of tell you how this is going to work. So tonight what I want to do is I want to go over some things. I want to kind of educate you on a lot of the moving parts. We're actually not going to go through the budget at this meeting. It's not even in there. The 2021 budget isn't even in the packet. Because before we get to that, I need to educate you on a lot of stuff that's going on right now between the roads and the new bonds and where we're at in the old bonds and stuff. So tonight is about kind of getting everybody on the same page, because when I show you the budget the next time, there's a lot of moving pieces. We gotta understand how it's going to play together. Okay? So this is about, I just want to let you kind of understand where we're at and the stuff that we did in the past. Okay? So that's the idea. So I've got a couple of things here. What I want to do, let's start with the first one. The first one here is let's see. Okay, so this one here was in the packet. And what this is giving you a little perspective on back in 2014, so you can understand what happened. So back then, so in 2013, we had about $73 million in taxable value. And that's when we basically started doing, we made the idea to go and do the roads. So in 2014 then, when we put the roads in, the deal with the city council then was that they were very sensitive about the tax rate. So they said, we'll keep our regular city rate at 25 cents to run the city, and then we'll add 5 cents for the debt servicing. Just add 5 cents and see what happens. So the goal then was we added the 5 cents, which covered $38,000. But the bond payment was $166,000. We had $166,000 with the bond. So we were $128,000 short of making the bond payment. Well, the idea was at the time was what we're going to do, we had some money in savings, and we knew the property value was probably going to go up. And the idea was, let's keep it at a nickel and see if we can get by. The actual rate it needed to be was something like 20 cents. If we would have added 20 cents, it would have been the whole 166, and it would have been easy. So we didn't do the easy thing. We did the hard thing. We raised the taxes just 5 cents. So we were way in the hole. Okay? And you can see, so each year what happened, we were in the not the interest, it's the actual principal, paying off more each year. So the trick then, as you can see, that was the idea, go with a nickel. Now when we did the nickel then, here's the issue that came up. The issue that then came up was this. So here's the issue that we had to deal with. So in 2013, which is this year here, our 25 cents to run the city was $183,000. That's what we used to run the city, the taxes. That was fine. Well, in 2014, we took in 192. We had to send 130,000 of it out to the bonds, to pay the bonds. Because remember, it was only the nickel. So we had $130,000 to be shipped out, which means we only had $62,000 to run the city. So 2/3 of our money to run the city went away because we only made it a nickel. Now the deal kind of with the council then was, look, we're in a race. This is a race now because we've got money in reserve, which we're going to have to use up some of this reserves. It's going to go down. But each year, we're going to get a little bit more taxes. Hopefully, we're going to get a little bit more franchise fees. And our gap will get lower. But if we ever reach the point where our reserves dip below that 25% that the auditor wants, then we're going to raise the tax rate. So we're in a race. Can we bottom out with our cash? Can we hit bottom and come back up? And the deal was, we were not going to start the new roads till that bottomed out, till we started putting money back in the bank. Okay, we had to stop the bleeding before we could do the new roads. You can see what happened. We did 62,000. And this is just to let you know. So what is the strategy that I did? So obviously, we knew we were going to get murdered, right? From 180 down to 62 to run the city. 2/3 of the money went away. So what was the approach that I did? Well, the first thing we did was the discretionary money gone. So the playground was a dream. So we cut the money out of the playground. The other thing that we did was we implemented the admin fee. Because up until then, the water and sewer fund never paid the city. So the audit that gets done, the city paid for the whole audit, but half of that is the utility fund. Mowing, even though we mow the water plant and Rocky Point and all of that, the city always paid the bill. So what we did is Ken Guthrie and I went through all of the expenses that like Linda pays the bills for the utility fund, does the banking, point bank. So we allocated their fair share of the city expenses. So we were cutting expenses down, right? Cutting the expenses because we had to run the city with much less money. So we cut that down. The other thing we did was we had the MDD and the EDC take over some of our expenses. The road repairs and stuff, they had to contribute half their money to the city. So I don't know if you were on the MDD when that happened. But basically, we told them, you're contributing half your money to the city. And which they did. So we had those going on. The other thing that we did was, for the first time, we implemented franchise fees on the garbage. We required roll-off containers on all the new construction. So they stopped throwing the garbage in the woods. It also meant we got sales tax from the roll-offs and franchise fees. So that was about $15,000 commitment. So that was the additional revenues we got. And the last part of it was, I became a raving lunatic telling people, get the sales tax to Lakewood Village. Because that's another revenue stream. You can see, by me being a nut job, telling everybody, look what happened to the sales tax. It's 20 down triple. That's beating on everybody to, get the right sales tax. So you can see, as this was going on, this is how much cash we had in the city. This was the general fund. We had 344. Okay, the magic number is 100. We have 100. We need around 100 for the auditor to be happy. That's 4 months worth of expenses for us. Right? That's our rainy day fund. So 100 was the magic number. 344, 216, 175, 104, a sudden? I sold the Melody lot. That was the Melody lot sale for $118,000. That's why we carved out the road and we sold it. So that bumped us up to $200,000. Then we went down a hair, and this is when we started talking about the roads. 2019. This is when now we entertain the roads. Okay? And then boom. Now we're back accumulating money again. Okay? So, this is similar to what we're going to do again. Because now, when we do the new bonds, we're not going to raise the rate, 20 cents to cover the new bonds. We're only going to raise it a couple cents. Because we have cash. But we're going to be in a race again. But all we got to do is get by 4 more years, and then that first bond is done. So we've got 4 years to get by. We got a 4-year race that we're going to run. Okay. Everybody that's the race that we're going to run. But that's what we did before. The key thing to take away from this is that in order to bridge this gap, there were no sacred cows. It was everything. It was trying to cut costs. It was trying to get more revenues. It was trying to do all sorts of every bucket we had in order to get over the hump to keep us going. So next time, how we're going to do this 4-year race, I'm going to bring to you, again, the same kind of thing. Here's what I want the MDD to do. Here's what we're going to do. Here's the strategy we're going to do to keep the tax rate as low as possible. Okay? So that's the basic philosophy that we do. Minimal tax increase, and I find the money somewhere else. And as long as we keep the reserves up, we're good. But if we ever reach that critical point, we can't. Then we have to move the tax rate. That's the deal that I make with the council. I'll do everything I can. But if I tell you we've reached the point where we've got to adjust, then you got to adjust. I'll do everything I can. Okay, so that's the idea on how we operate with the bonds. So now let me give you another one, which is basically, now I'm going to show you where we're at today. So this is something I want you to take a look at, because this will now kind of explain, again, the issues that are coming up for this budget cycle. Okay, so the way to read this is, on the left-hand side of the sheet is the money in the bank, our construction fund. Okay, so that's the bond proceeds. So we started out with $4.5 million in the bond proceeds, and then we reimbursed ourselves for certain expenses that we had for this year. So those are things like the engineering, that was the survey work, various things that were part of it. Okay. Now, as on the right-hand side is what are the costs that we still have yet to pay. So obviously there's $4,444,000 is the roads, and then we've got Hugro, and we've got Kimley Horn. Now, Kimley Horn might be less. That's a do not exceed number. So if they have less hours out here, then it'll be a little bit less. It's not going to be 100,000 less, but it'll be a little less. Hugro is going to do less testing now because we're using the meters instead of the cylinders. So that 37,000 might end up being, 29,000 or something. I don't know. But we made 3 change orders here. I just did the last change order yesterday. Was for the street signs. We removed the street signs. That was part of the contract for them. It was $6,800 to remove the street signs. So I just had Sam yank them out. So if you look at where we're at right now, look at the bottom line number. There's $4,150,000 in the construction account, and what we are going to end up paying out is $4,575,000. Okay. So right now there's $424,000 difference between what we have in the bond account what we have to pay. So that's what that cash gap is. That's if we have to write a check tomorrow. That's what we owe. Now the other number is the budget number, which is basically what that means is, if you guys recall when we started, maybe a couple months ago, there was a $520,000 gap when we started. It's $520,000 between what we had and what we were going to pay out. And then what we started doing was we sold the Woodcrest lot. So that money came in. That doesn't reduce what we owe. It just is more cash for us. We also did the developer agreement with Twom. That brought in more cash. So we've made the change orders, which has reduced what we have to pay. We have another change order that's out right now for the dirt. Hopefully that should be about, they say it's about 30,000. Our engineers say it's 100,000. So hopefully it's about, hopefully it's about another 50,000 or so. We've got another maybe 30,000 to come in interest. You see the interest we get each month on the bond funds. So if we can get that budget gap down to about 200,000, then that's good. So we started out 500,000 apart. We ended up cutting costs, getting additional revenue. Only 200,000. We can take the 200,000. We can get there. Okay, that's doable. But right now, as we sit here today, we're 424,000 short of what we would need. Okay? Now, that's okay. How much money do we have in the bank? Well, in the general fund right now, we have 568,000. So the good news is we have money. The bad news is, if we write that check, it's going to eat up a big chunk of that, right? Now, the reason why it says like it's $300,000, right, is the change so far this year. Because of selling the lot, doing the developer agreement, and as you'll see if you look at the budget numbers, which I'm going to go over in a little while, we're having a really good year. I mean, we're doing really well in the city. Revenues are up, building permits are up, sales tax is up 60%, franchise fees are over the top. We're having a great year. So when you take that, that's why we're really stockpiling the cash. But, as you see, we got 568,000 in there now, and I'm guessing we've got 4 more months to go in the fiscal year. We're only 8 months in. We got 4 to go. I think we're going to end up about where we're at here. We've already paid Little Elm for the whole year for the fire and EMS, and that's one of our biggest expenses. So I think with the money coming in on sales tax, probably another house. I think with the inbound money, we're owed about $9,000. People that are delinquent in their property taxes, they owe us about $9,000 to $10,000. So I think we'll end up right about around this number. I don't see it changing a lot in the next 4 months. Okay? So everybody kind of understand. That's the big picture on the roads, is that we've got a little bit more upside with the change order and the interest, but I've gone through all 185 lines in the contract, and that's about it as far as I can see on the change orders. The only other change order which we have in our hat here is they were going to pour the driveways separate from the road. So they have 2 crews, one to do driveways, one to do roadways, that they had bid it out as. Now it's just one crew, just starting down the street and rolling with it. So that saves a lot of their labor. There's a labor adjustment for that. But they didn't bid it, they don't separate out labor hours. They separate it out, it's by the square foot. So it's a fuzzy number that's in our favor. That we believe if they come back at us and say, hey, we had to cut 3 extra driveways, 2 extra square feet or something, the engineers have already said, then we'll use our, hey, wait a minute, if you want to get, hyper-technical on that, then where's our credit for the labor? So I think we're in good shape.
Is the hyper mulch
done, that can't be done according to them, and it's because of the SWPPP. So, the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Program. The state-run, you see those SWPPP boards usually on most things? You got to keep the sediment from, clogging.
The non-essential stuff.
It has to be sod. They say because if you do hydromulch, that doesn't meet the SWPPP plan they submitted, and then they have to make sure that it takes, and basically they did a lot of reasons why they don't want to do it. And we gave up. Like, okay, fair enough. It's funny, I do have people asking me, can they get their sod? When they come out and start cutting the bar ditch, start cutting it, they actually want to take their sod and stockpile it, which I told them they can do. It's, we don't care. I mean, they're going to get new sod back, but for some reason they want to keep their old sod. I don't know.
Maybe use it somewhere else.
Maybe. Yeah. I told them that's fine. No problem with that. So that's kind of the limited upside that we have on this. I just don't see, like I said, I'm not worried about it, but I want you to understand kind of where we're at on that. Now, let me give you the second piece of the puzzle. So everybody kind of understand this, how we're going with this? So, the gap will get smaller because we're going to get interest each month. So just if we don't do anything, the gap will shrink by another 25 to 30,000. But what this just one sheet. So what this is, I just want to make sure everybody kind of understands. So in 2020, we've already paid so the 2014s are the old bonds, the 2020s are the new bonds. So you can see, we already paid the 178,612. We paid that in February. So there are 4 months, 21 through 24, you see the 4 months where we're overlapping. You also notice in the 5th year, the 2020 suddenly jumps way up. The bond payment jumps way up in 2025, right? That's because we don't have the other bonds. So when you're doing bonds, we get to pick how fast we want to pay it off. I pick those numbers. So the idea is, for this 4-year overlap, we're paying off not much on the new bonds. We're only paying about $20,000 in principal. Because that's the way we want to do it. We want to split it up. We need to kind of slow play them at the beginning, then we'll pick up the pace later. So what this shows then is, so for the budget we're working on right now, if you guys remember, last year we set the debt servicing at 16.5 cents. So we're at 41.5 cents on the, we set it 60. That 16.5 cents covered the 178,612 exactly. So it covered the bond payment. So if we do the same tax rate as we had last year, property values this year in Lakewood Village have gone up by, I've got all the appraisal numbers, I got it again a couple days ago. So the average value in Lakewood Village for the taxable value is up 0.8%, less than 1%. And that's before the appeals. So we're going to end up flat. We have $2 million in new construction. Other than that, the existing housing, we're going to basically be flat, if not slightly negative. So basically, if we did the 16.5 cents again, what that would do is, that would basically cover the 180. Cover the old bond payment. But we got to come up with $228,858 for the new one. So we got to come up with $228,000 for the new one, and we got to come up with $424,000 to make up the gap in the road construction, right? So that's the say, if we make the tax rate 20 cents, so we go from 16 and a half to 20 cents, that's 3.5 cents toward the new bonds. That would be like $30,000 toward the new one. Then I got to come up with 190,000 somewhere else, right? We're racing again. That's the race. So we're going to race for 4 years. And if I can't win the race, I may come to you and say, look, I need you to raise it from, I need you to raise that 20 cents of debt servicing to 25 cents, right? So I'm going to bring to you next time, we're going to go from 41 and a half to 45. Because we got a new bond payment, right? In order to cover the second bond payment in its entirety, we need 20 more cents. Instead of doing 20, I'm going to suggest 3. And then race. And I'm going to use the MDD, I'm going to use everything I got to fill the gap, to get us the rest of the money.
So on this sheet here, you've got, like I said, we've got 568 in the bank, we've got 139 in the utility fund, and 47 in the MDD, which is a total of 755.
Yeah.
That's just right now. That's not money we're going to generate. For instance, in the utility fund and the MDD, every year we're going to generate more money. I know we will also in the general fund, but a lot of that's going to go to operational stuff, right?
Well, we're going to have a surplus in the general fund.
So in all three of those funds, we're going to have a surplus every year. That would seem to easily, even what it is right now, cover the cash gap, right? That's almost a non-issue at this point, just using those numbers. Or am I missing something?
No, I mean,
and that's as it stands right now. I mean, these are all going to come in every year. They're going to be replenished.
So we'll see what we do when we look at some of the budget numbers second, but you're right. So conceptually, the utility fund, we just spent a lot of money on infrastructure.
Right. We shouldn't need to spend a lot of more money
We should be in accumulation mode next year.